What is up, everybody? It's Kelpsy, and today we're going to do a quick tier list for update 43, and this is for PvP. And I just want to go through and show you guys how all the classes are sitting as of now. So we're going to get straight into it. I'm going to give you guys the number one most dominating class as of now, and that is the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight is absolutely fucking killing it. They are doing phenomenal, both in their sustain, in the tankiness. If you go into Battlegrounds, it is not uncommon to see in just low, and I mean not low level, but like low comparable, like Alliance War. Like if you see a 5-star or a high ranking PvP player come into Battlegrounds, there's a good chance they're going to do well. And if you see someone on a good class but their PvP ranking is lower, it's a toss up. Some are doing good, some are doing bad, you don't really know. But it is common to see all Dragon Knights doing big numbers, and it is normal to see a Dragon Knight doing 1.5 to 2 million a match. Their damage is through the roof, and as always, Dragon Knights are tanky. They have plenty of utility, so Dragon Knights right now are in a great spot. And then coming into the next update, they're not getting any nerfs. They're changing the Inferno heal, which isn't even that big of a deal. So I think Dragon Knights are going to stay dominating through update 44. Now, number 2 is tried and true Sorcerers. The Sorcerer is still in a great spot. Stamsorc is just dirty right now. They have great sustain. They have great movement, huge damage, and the magic shield is still overpowered. It is getting a nerf in update 44, but we'll see how much that actually impacts it. I don't think it's going to take too much away from them because it's only a 5% nerf, and it's still a huge shield for not that much spending. And with things like Hurricane and the Streak, it's just hard to top the Sorcerer. And I just think that the Sorcerer is completely out of this world, both in Magic and Stamsorc. It depends on how you want to play, but both are completely viable and just hit hard. Now, Dragon Knights, if it wasn't for how well they're doing, I would put them below Sorcerers. But since they're so strong right now, I'm putting them above them, because Dragon Knights, there's not really a viable way to do Stamina or Magicka separately in PvP. You have to do them together. It has to be a hybrid. And that's just how Dragon Knights are these days. Like, if you're playing PvP, they're more of a hybrid build rather than a pure Stam or a pure Magic, like you can do with Sorcerer. But Dragon Knights are so fucking strong right now, they just are number one. Now, in the A class, because that's it for the S, I'm going to lead it out with Nightblades. Now, I'm only putting Nightblades out of the S class like I had them previously, because with the so low of changes that we've seen since pre-Gold Road, where Tarnished Nightmare has been just dominating for so long, and with Gold Road not really changing much of anything for them, people have adapted and learned to avoid the ganking, and with their limited utility outside of that high bursty damage, I just don't see them being S-class right now. Now, A, high A, almost S, yeah, but they don't bring any group utility in. They are the only class with a disengage with going hidden, but with the way that the tech pots work these days, it's not as hard to deal with. And with the huge bursty damage, like, it's just, I don't know, like they just aren't bringing anything crazy unique to the table these days. And although the ganking is still top shelf, like ganking still the same build, 1 bar, bow, Tarnished Nightmare, Oak Fathers, Construct. You can still just delete people from the battlefield. But if they're in a group or if they know what they're doing, it's not easily avoidable, but it's a lot easier than it was a year ago, because we all know what's going on now. We all know that armor stacking and crit resist stacking is big to avoid becoming just a target. So that's why I dropped them to A, because nothing's changed. And when nothing changes and they stay static, everything else changes, and it changes around them, causing them to lower. So I'm putting them right there for now. We'll see what update 44 does when they change up how cloak works. But for now, I'm putting them there. And then following them, I am going to put Necromancers. Now, putting Necromancer above the other classes because with the buffs to magical Necromancers, they are hitting hard. They're doing really well. You do have to play them hybrid like you do a Dragon Knight, and they're not nearly as powerful as those two. But played correctly with the right person running it, they are dirty right now. And I have been enjoying it. They're getting another good buff for PvP coming up with Gravegrasp getting, or yeah, I think Graven Grasp, I think that's what it's called. It's getting changed to chilled, so it's going to affect giving the chilled status effect, which is great for them. And I just think they're in a really healthy spot right now. They bring a lot of utility to the group, and they bring a lot of like they're great to have in a ball group because of beckoning armor. They have plenty of things they're bringing to the table where they don't have this forthright solo and super small group capability that Dragon Knight and Sorcerers do, and even that Nightblades do. They have this thing where like they can give major and minor breach, major vulnerability. They'll soon have chill. They have beckoning armor to bring people in. Like they have so many things in their kit that they are so useful in so many different ways that I just think that the Necromancer's in a really good spot compared to what they were. And right behind Necromancer's the Warden. Now Warden was S-class last patch. They were fucking out there. They were running it. And they're still doing good. They are. Like everyone in A, like this isn't like bad in any way, shape, or form. But they're nothing close to what they were. When they dropped the damage and made them tankier, now you're kind of pigeonholed into doing a certain thing, and you just don't see them as much out on the battlefield in the same manner that you did previously. They still do really good. They're still really strong. Everyone in A is really strong, and honestly, all classes are pretty viable right now still. But compared to what they were, I put them down here in A because, I mean, I'd say like Warden and Necromancer are pretty interchangeable. Like they could be either way here. Like they're basically the same at this point, but I just think that right now they're not in the best space. I think coming forward when we get better builds and we all have longer time to do it, and I mean they're A because like they have great tanking capabilities, great healing, great buffs, great everything, but like in terms of outright damage now, compared to these guys, they're not too hot. They're in the same boat as Necromancer, where in the right hands they do great, in the general consensus hands, not great. Like right now, anyone can make a Sorcerer and go hard. Anyone can make a Dragon Knight and go fucking hard. Anyone can make a Nightblade, do the bow gank, and go hard. These guys take a lot more know-how and knowing what to do, and although they're still definitely A category, and with sup spaces and the need for ball groups and the need for battlegrounds and stuff like that, and healers and tanks, like they both have great stuff. You can still troll people on the bridges with the Frozen Gate. Like there's still so many things you can do with the Warden, but they're definitely not just the fucking powerhouse they were in 42 and previous. So that's why they're in A. And then I'm going to put Arcanist, I'm actually going to put in B right now. Now, this is hard for me because I have been having fun on the Arcanist, especially like 1-bar Arcanists and things of that nature. But as of now, they lost their execute. And with the loss of the execute, to me, it just doesn't feel as good. And they've always had a pretty static rotation for damage. Icky arm, icky arm, icky arm, book. Or throw triangle, throw triangle, throw triangle, book. And that's kind of what you still have to do. And if you're running with a group and there's one of them in there and they're beaming, that's kind of rough. If someone's there and they know what to do, they're still good. Like, they're still playable. This isn't to, like, make you fret and be like, oh, I don't want to play an Arcanist. Like, they're still good. And all of their kit's still amazing. They still have the best stun in the fucking game. They still have some of the best runes. They're getting a huge punch in the dick in this new update again. But as of now, I don't know. I just don't think that their kit is worth it because you have to be in a big group to make them super viable. When they had their execute, it was a lot more viable, and then they lost it. And I still run into Arcanists every once in a while. They're just crazy tanky, and they're trolling, and they're running around, and they know what they're doing. But by and large, I don't think they're in the best spot, especially what they were when they had an execute. And then the forgotten child of Elder Scrolls, which is the Templar. I think the Templar's in the worst position in the game. I think they're in the worst position they've ever been in, and I think it's a shame that the other three classes are all here. And honestly, to be completely serious, if we wanted to make an argument, you could argue and say that Nightblades still deserve to be an S because they're the only true bomber class that can do the bomb at that scale. Like, you can bomb with a lot of other classes, but Nightblade is just the bomber aficionado. They're still one of the best healers you can play, but I personally think that they're A because bombs aren't as prevalent as they were because of how beefy everyone is, and that's why they're still an A. But the fact that the other three OG classes are the top three, and then Templars down here is just upsetting. And it's down here because every update, they seem to just be changing stuff that doesn't need to be changing. Like, update 43, seeing that they fixed an animation on it, and that's it. Fix the whole class. They're being left out for no reason. Like, that for years, they had the same rotation, and then they nerfed the whole rotation, and then they didn't give them anything else. And yeah, I know a couple people that play Templar that are good, but for the most part, if you see a Templar out in the battlefield, it's pretty much an easy kill. Like, even if they're really, really good with them, if you're even mediocre with a Sorcerer, the Templar, I mean, they're over there sweating, trying to keep up, and they just don't stand a chance. And the Templar has no kit these days. They bring nothing unique to the table. They have a great execute, which is something you cannot take from them. But other than the great execute, they don't bring anything. Necromancer brings enormous buffs. Well, debuffs to the enemy that are like almost no one has that level of kit to them. Warden, great buffs to the team and debuffs to the enemy. Arcanist, great stuns, great debuffs, great buffs. Like, all these guys have a great kit. Nightblade, insane burst damage. Sorcerer, great self-sustain, great buffs, great damage, great movement. And Dragon Knight, insane damage, insane debuffs, great utility. And the Templars down here with fucking nothing. And you could do a Templar healer, but a Ward and Necromancer healer would be better. A Nightblade healer would be better. A Sorcerer healer would be even better. The Negate, just comparing the ultimates of the OG 3 classes, it's a fucking shame the Templar is where it is. Because Dragon Knight, they have Magma Armor or Corrosive Armor. Corrosive Armor, you ignore their physical resistances, which is fucking crazy, and they take AoE damage from you. Magma Armor buffs you and your whole group with a massive shield. Dragon Leap, you either Dragon Leap and do a bunch of damage, or Dragon Leap and get a shield, and the Dragon Leap is insanely distanced and hits like a fucking truck. And then Dragon Knight Standard does AoE damage and empowers everyone in the AoE that's your teammate, and then hurts everyone that isn't your teammate, and you can chain fuckers with it. That is insanely helpful for inside of a keep. Sorcerer, you have Overload, which if you're running something that's using like Crystal Weapon, hits like a truck, and it's great, and it can give you resources back, or it just hits really, really hard. And then they've got Negate, which is literally asked for by name in most or all PvP serious groups. Negate is insanely helpful for a myriad of reasons. It's one of the only ways to truly shut down a good ball group is to rush in and negate them. And then it literally stops them from using magic. Like, you can literally streak in and shut off a healer. That is fucking insane that is a class ultimate and not an open world ultimate. Like, that is nuts. And then the Summon the Atronach, that has a stun. Like, you can literally cast that down and stun and put an enemy inside of the enemy's group. Fucking shit. It is a great engage ultimate. Nightblades. We'll talk about the one that's not even used that often. It's like the Path of like Freshness or some shit. It's a great DPS, like overland stuff. I mean, it's not great for like PvP ultimate, but it's great for the PvP heal. If you're going to run a healer, it's phenomenal. And then the other two ultimates, come on, Incap Strike is one of the most just diabolical ganking ultimates. It has a very low cost to start with, and then just gets harder with time. And then the other one, Soul Tether, is literally a bomb. Or a group heal. Like, what the fuck? So, like, these three guys, and we could go through everyone else's ultimates, but those three original classes having those ultimates, and what the fuck is the Templar sitting with now? Their heal is awesome. I'll hand them that. It's helpful, for sure. But you have to morph it to be able to move, and then that loses some of its kit of you being like just a godly little tank sitting there healing. And then there's like a certain amount of like area that it'll work in. And like it's great. It's a great heal. It is. But like I'd much rather just use the healing staff ultimate. Done. Like, yeah, that's probably better. Like, their class heal is probably better, but, like, the healing staff ultimate does great. Easy peasy. And it's nothing compared to any of those guys' ultimates, not let alone, like, Northern Storm or the Goliath. Like, they're just not in a good spot, and they don't give the team buffs. They have good heals, but heals per second isn't all that you need. And that's why, even as a healer at the bottom, in Update 44, they're giving them, like, tanky options for PvE, but PvP-wise, they are going to be left out in the lurch again. And I'm not saying don't play a Templar. If that's your play style and you're like RPing or you just got to be in the zone and you really need it, that's completely fine. If you're a follower of the light, have a blast. But personally, I don't think they're worth playing right now. I don't think they're out of B category because I think the game's not well balanced because these guys are so far in their own league. There should be something else up here. Fucking S++. But I think the game's relatively balanced amongst at least these four classes, but the fact that like the other OGs are here and then the Templar just hasn't had a good like overhaul in years. I don't think they've had a good overhaul since I've been on PC. Like, it's just a shame. I know it's a rant for me to go on about the Templar since I don't even play the Templar that much, but they used to be a powerhouse. They used to do good damage, have crazy self-healing, and just be nuts. And they've been left in the lurch, and they didn't get enough attention on 43, and they're not getting attention again on 44. And I see people playing them all the time. So, just my thing. This is the PvP tier list. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think the game should do to change things up? Do you agree with this list? Do you think that Necromancer should be further down? Do you think Templar should be further up? How do you guys feel about it? As always, thank you so much for any comments and discussion we're going to have in the comments. Thank you for coming out and watching the video, checking everything out, supporting the channel. Love you guys. I will see you guys next time. Have a great one.